Since quarantine started back in March of last year, it's safe to say I've done, well, not a whole lot. So last October, when my manager texted me about an opportunity to host a road trip VR show, you could say it piqued my interest. Turns out my manager also manages my friend Tony V, who you may recognize from his YouTube channel, Black Box TV. Well, apparently he had an idea for a road trip show that he wanted me to host. Did I mention it's in Oregon? So the plan was that I would fly from LA to Oregon, Tony would pick me up from the airport, and we would immediately begin a 3-day road trip where we would cover about 750 miles to visit several filming locations from movies like The Goonies, Twilight, The Ring. So was I in? Obviously. I may have overpacked a little bit. I know I got an itinerary, but where's our first stop?
So our first stop is Halloweentown.
Guys, there's a real Halloweentown.
There's a real one.
Unpopular opinion, I actually don't even really like that movie that much. What? By the way, the name of our first stop is actually St. Helens, not Halloweentown, though I think we can all agree that Halloweentown is its biggest claim to fame. By the way, if you're really old, really young, or just culturally uneducated, Halloweentown is an iconic Disney Channel original movie that originally premiered back in 1998. It centers around 13-year-old Marnie and her brother as they follow their grandmother onto a mysterious bus only to discover that she's a witch and they're headed to, you've guessed it, Halloweentown. Yeah. But even now, 20 years later, the town still celebrates this film every year with their annual Spirit of Halloweentown festival, which runs through the month of October and has everything from haunted house tours to pumpkin carving contests to spooky tractor rides to costume parties. And in recent years, Marnie herself has even been in attendance for the opening ceremony.
Big T Ma, Big T T, Big T Game. Read them, and know it, Ben!
We just met our new best friend Tess that works at Starbucks.
Hi, Josh.
And she gave us some inside info when Tony asked her about Halloweentown. Well, I mean, she led with, I don't know if you should go.
Don't go there was what she said first.
I would just go there, park, and...
Park where? Like in the marina?
Yeah, you can park
Okay,
on the
great.
marina or right by the courthouse, and then you can just walk down there. Everything's within walking distance, so...
What should we definitely see at Halloweentown?
The pumpkin, of course.
Tess, you are the most informed person in all of St. Helens,
So
Oregon.
sweet.
Thank you for the tips.
You're welcome.
It's a guided tour that costs $45 per person. But apparently, since it's not the weekend, she thinks we can cheat the system and kind of like sneak in the back way and then just tour it ourselves. Marnie, we're coming for you.
Here. Yeah, there's here.
Okay, we've arrived at the secret back entrance.
This is the secret back entrance.
I think we needed to be secretive about entering. It doesn't look that large. I was gonna say exciting, but it looks plenty exciting. It just doesn't look that extensive. Because I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
It's limited in its scope.
Oh my god, you guys, we've arrived. We're in Halloweentown. You can see the photos of the cast.
That's his cab. That is his...
Is he in it?
I think Benny is in it. Ooh.
I love that you know all the names. So we have a Halloweentown enthusiast, and then we have the Halloweentown like awkward person that's like a poser.
By the way, this is Valentine, who originally was hired to do my makeup, but ultimately just became my personal photographer / sidekick.
In the first movie where Aggie Cromwell gets off the bus and yeah.
And last names.
As Tess had promised, the entire thing took about 10 minutes, so we mostly just took pictures, and by we I mean mostly Tony just took pictures of me. Look at him just lay on the ground for me. He's the best. But overall, it was great. If you're a fan of Halloweentown, I would still recommend going. I just wouldn't make it necessarily a whole day's plan. And while I'm sure the rest of St. Helens is just lovely, it was time for us to head to location number 2. From St. Helens, we would head a little over an hour northwest to Astoria, Oregon, aka the oldest city in Oregon, which also happens to be home to films like The Goonies, Kindergarten Cop, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the list goes on. But before we could get there, let's just say there was a small hiccup. See the sheer and utter panic on my face? Yeah, first let's back up a sec. Remember this moment? Funny thing, that's not my suitcase. Yeah, I did take the wrong suitcase.
Where is her bag? Where are her bags located right now?
It's with the guest whose name is on the bag that you all have now. She's in Eugene.
Oh, she's in Eugene.
So the bag is in Eugene currently.
Okay, copy that. Okay, yeah, we're gonna figure this out.
He really grabbed the wrong bag.
And that's her producer who's shooting with her. All right, thank you, Jason, so much. Really helpful. Really appreciate you letting us know.
You're very welcome. Should be getting in contact with you soon, okay?
Okay, copy that. Thanks, bud.
Fuck. I'm so sorry.
So while I was mortified at the fact that I had not only potentially fucked up our trip, but also that of a complete stranger, leave it to Tony to somehow find a solution.
Hi, buddy.
To like reshift the
Right.
So we're having a very interesting day, and I was like, there's only one person I could call in the world right now to be like, that I have a problem.
Your talent fucked shit up.
My dear friend Lily, who's incredibly smart, she took somebody else's bag when she got off the air.
On purpose.
On purpose, just so that we'd have some drama in our shoot. And that bag is in Eugene, Oregon. And
Does that mean that they didn't notice either, though?
No, it definitely does. We didn't even got this call how much later?
That's not a bad idea because you can get their bag and then exactly because I'll lose the rest of today. So what I'm thinking is
The plan was, we would meet up with Tony's friend back in St. Helens. Remember? Halloweentown, where we just were? His friend would then graciously transport the stranger's bag that I had accidentally kidnapped and meet up with its owners somewhere near Eugene to make the switch. He would then go back to his house in Vancouver, Washington. Meanwhile, we would finish our day as planned, and after checking us into our Airbnb in Seaside, Tony would drive back to his friend's house in Vancouver, stay the night, and then drive back to Seaside with my bag to pick us up and start day 2 in the morning. So 2 things. 1, yes, I am the worst. And 2, yes, Tony and his friend are the absolute best. And because they saved the day, we did end up getting to continue to our next stop, which was, again, Astoria, Oregon. Did I mention I'm the worst? Because it turns out being a smidge behind schedule means that everything's closed.
it looks closed. Yep. Dun, dun, dun. Well, we got to Astoria, Oregon right on time. And they will return tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Should we spend the night out front?
You don't think they have a holding cell? Well, guess we should move on. Come.
He just hooked the camera to the front of the car, and we're gonna be driving with that attached to the car.
That's what we're doing. We're professionals.
I we? Yeah, I was gonna say.
Good job, Lily.
Is this-
Lily knows how to make drama. That works. This is gonna be like a very dramatic story.
I know how to make drama. You're about to break your one camera that we're shooting this.
Oh, that's also true, but you know what? We do it for art.
Wait, is it that sturdy? We shouldn't be nervous?
We're always nervous. This is a true story.
Luckily, Oregon is really pretty everywhere, and while it wasn't movie specific, Tony did have another location for us to hit right before sunset. This is the Astoria Column. It was built back in 1926 and sits at the top of Coxcomb Hill in Astoria, overlooking the mouth of the Columbia River. Apparently inside the column, which stands at 125 feet, there's a 164-step spiral cast iron staircase that leads to an observation deck at the top. I'm pretty sure that was closed when we were there, but I think it's safe to say we were pretty okay with just this mediocre ground view.
Holy wow. This is just gorgeous.
Insane. See, I feel like if I just had a boyfriend or even just a friend that wanted to move somewhere, then I could move somewhere like
It's expensive as hell out here. You might as well just stay in LA.
Oh, is it? In a not shocking plot twist, it's still pretty.
Hi, friend.
Hello.
Get in the car, beautiful.
At this point, I thought the day was over, but Tony had one more stop for us to make. We hopped back in the car and headed to Ilwaco, Washington. And to be honest, I didn't realize we had ever even left Oregon. Then again, I had also woken up at 6 a.m., been on a plane, driving all day, the luggage debacle. But anyway, after about a 25-minute drive, we parked in a parking lot basically in the middle of a forest, and then began about a mile walk through the forest until we reached this. This feels like they would film a movie here.
Truly. What movie was supposed to be filmed here?
That beach area reminds me of like Dear John.
Oh man.
But then this reminds me of like, oh my god, it's everything. This is the North Head Lighthouse, and although it originally was built in 1897, it does still function today. Apparently it's the oldest original working lighthouse in America. I didn't even know lighthouses were really things anymore, and I guess they aren't. But this one, not only is here, it functions. Is the light on anymore? Well, as soon as I tried to show you, the light turned off, but I swear it functions. Is that your light up on the...
It's a ghost.
Oh, it's the lighthouse.
Oh, it is a lighthouse. I was like, is it a ghost? We've decided we're going to actually also turn this into a paranormal series. I don't think this is haunted though, so we'll have to go.
We'll go inside and see.
Prove it.
Oh no, it's locked. We got here too late. It's my fault again. Plot twist, guess I spoke too soon. Apparently the lighthouse is haunted. When I got home and Googled it, I found out apparently dozens of people have died nearby in these waters since the lighthouse was first lit in 1898. But most notable was probably Mary Pessinen, the wife of the first lighthouse keeper, who fell to her death over the surrounding cliff back in 1923. And though it was ruled to be a suicide, some still have their doubts. Today, the keeper's house and assistant keeper's house, just 50 yards from the lighthouse, are both said to be haunted. And while we didn't see or hear anything, apparently the most common report is that people hear loud voices in the middle of the night coming from the keeper's quarters. Okay.
All right.
It's cold. Should we go?
Yeah.
missing a piece of luggage. You know, I am notorious for having like random travel hiccups, but this one hasn't happened to me before.
From the Lighthouse, we immediately drove to Seaside, Oregon, where Tony would drop Valentine and I off at our Airbnb, before then hopping back in the car to drive to Vancouver, Washington to go retrieve my suitcase. Have I mentioned Tony's the best? Anyway, despite the luggage debacle and potentially screwing up our entire shoot schedule, we were somehow able to figure it all out and still get a bunch of great stuff. And by we, I mean Tony. Tony figured it out. If you enjoyed watching our day 1 shenanigans unfold, make sure you subscribe because there's plenty more where that came from in day 2 and day 3. Here's a little preview.